Wow.
What's going on? Facebook Live, YouTube. How we doing tonight?
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Jay. How you doing, buddy? Let's go. Fired up. We got Crankbait Johnny in the house tonight. But first, we'd like to send a special thanks. Wait. Before we go there, click that share button down in the lower left-hand corner. And let's get some folks up in the house. Drop in the comments where you're tuning in from, what boat you're floating out of, what you're excited for the fishing season. Let's talk about it. Got to send a huge shout out to the good folks at Pelican Cases and Coolers, sponsor of the show, sponsor of the trail series, the Open coming up. We got some prizes to give away from them for you guys down at the Open and the Clash of Clubs. If you guys aren't signed up yet, sign up by tomorrow. You got an opportunity to get your entry fee reimbursed.
Yeah.
Free entry. Free entry. Free entry.
That's right.
Come on, Jay. We're going to do a drawing Saturday morning for those folks. One angler is going to get their entry fee reimbursed. One team for the Clash of Clubs is going to get their entry fees reimbursed. Going to be a good time. Going to be a good time. Also, huge shout out to Yak Gadget. If you guys aren't following what those guys are doing and putting out for your kayaks, you're losing out. I'm sure we'll talk about that tonight as we just spent some time with our guest, Mr. John Graves, down at Dale Hollow Lake for the Yak Gadget Pro Team meetup. Doing some cool stuff, dropping all these links into the chat for you guys. And last but not least, the 153 anglers coming through, man. Custom painted hard baits. They got some plastics, all kinds of juicy stuff. All these companies will be represented down at Dale Hollow. I know the 153 guys are going to be there. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. They're going to be in the house. So if you guys want to get your hands on some of those products, they will be there. And Richard DeVries in the house, the man from Eastport Marina himself, said he received 4 nice shirts from Tacticam to give away.
Wow.
What's up?
Nice.
What's up? I like it. Shout out to Wendy at Eastport, because we always forget her. And she's the boss. She's the real boss. We're going to make up brownie points. Otherwise, we're going to be sleeping on the dock. But we'll talk about the Open in the Trail Series, because I know John's coming down there. Let's get Mr. Crankbait Johnny in the house. Mr. John Graves, a.k.a. the Stetson Hat Fisherman, the king of bucket hats not bucket mouse.
Right on. I love it. I'm debating whether or not in the tack room, as I'm straightening things up here to get comfortable with you guys, to kick back and talking about this exciting weekend coming up next weekend. I'm debating whether or not I should have taken the cat's litter box out, because if the cat goes to scratching, it shuts it down. So if I all of a sudden jet left, I'm grabbing the litter box and putting it out, because I don't want that. But I'm excited.
We understand, man. Well, we're excited to have you here, brother. It's been a hot minute since you've been on the good old Paddle and Fin podcast, man.
It's been a long time, and it's amazing what you guys have really done with it since then.
Thanks, man.
Just absolutely just grown, just exponentially. And it's, I was looking forward to that. I'm telling you what, I was looking forward to that when you guys get down there at iCast and putting a booth up, because somebody's going to do it, and there's nobody else out there. There's nobody else better than you guys.
John, you can't give away our secrets, John.
Hey, I'm telling you what. Here it is. Nobody works as hard as you guys. You know it takes dedication to do that. Everybody else is a bunch of lazy asses. So, I know what it takes, and that's the big time. And I can't wait. You guys are it's amazing. So I'm absolutely humbled to be a guest here on that one.
Well, you can't underestimate yourself, man, because you have a podcast yourself. If you guys don't follow John Graves Kayak Fishing, John puts out quite a few episodes, and I love listening to you, man. You tell a good story, and that's, I think, the best way to put it is you're just an awesome storyteller.
I appreciate that. My mom always said that I had a unique talent to sit in my room for hours and talk to myself. I'm not sure what that meant, and but I appreciate that. And in the early days, when I was invited to join you guys and Brad the Sticks and join on with that, immediately, to be really honest with you, immediately I felt your energy, and everybody's just how fast you guys were going to be going with this whole podcast thing. And I knew that I would probably be more of like just an anchor.
I don't know about that.
Well, I do. My speed's a little bit more like the news of Lake Wobegon.
I don't know what that is, John.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else.
But it sounds interesting.
I may be aging myself, but it's more like a prairie's home companion kind of thing. And I'm really kind of, to be honest with you, I'm lazy about looking up things. I'm lazy about that's really what I'm looking forward to this year. I've always been a hindrance to myself by not investigating these bodies of waters that I'm going to. I'm just excited to go on a trip, but now I've really got to start shifting gears and looking at the detail like everybody else is that's hitting the top 10, Yeah. And
right on.
I want to drive home with a big fat check one of these days. So,
hey, I called it out. I called it out today, man. I think you're going to be driving home with one next weekend.
I think so too.
I appreciate it. Just make sure that nobody's around me for like 3/4 of a mile, and it'll be probably okay. Leave me out there. But it was one of those freak things, and you guys are talking about something that just has never happened to me ever. I've been fishing for a long time, most of my life, but seriously about 5 years out of a kayak. And what happened to me down at Dale Hollow a few weeks ago has never happened to me before in my life. Maybe it's the cowboy hat. The first time that I wore the damn thing, I just thought, why not? We were in the hollers of Tennessee. I was feeling good. I was with my riding buddies down there with Yak Gadget. It's really surprised me that you guys were actually kind of there connected to it like you are. And I kind of put 2 and 2 together, real quick. Again, I'm kind of a dummy with those things, but there you were. And man, it was just so awesome to get out on the Obi. And I had never been down there before. and I thought it'd be apropos to put the hat on. And man, I don't know what was happening. Just every time I tossed that stick out there, I was getting a bite.
Yeah, man, it was great. I remember a bunch of us were sorting tackle, re-rigging rods and stuff like that up at the house, and you had went down to the water early. And when we finally made it down to the ramp, I was like, "Who's in the kayak with the big cowboy hat?" And I forget who it was, and it was they were like, "That's Johnny."
Yeah.
He said that was his good luck hat. He was going to throw it on and get out there and crush some fish. And lo and behold, we asked you how you were doing, and you had caught quite a few, man.
Man, it was unbelievable. You know, those bucks, man, those little bucks they were running those banks hard, man.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's again, next week, you know how it is. It can change in a half a day. So next week it could be totally different, and they wouldn't even look at what I was tossing out at them, you know. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things. But man, what a beautiful place. I'm excited to get down there to fish with you guys. And Richard, what a host.
Yeah, man.
What an amazing host they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just dropped their website address for the Eastport Marina down in the chat. Guys, telling you, go check it out. Even if you don't make it to the event this weekend, it's someplace you got to visit, man. It's just super, super magical down there. I don't know what it is. The folks are awesome. The food is great, and the fishing is even better.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. They're it's very warm down there.
Yeah.
You get treated pretty well.
Absolutely.
You do. We were blessed to open up the restaurant. We were the first.
That's right.
We cracked the eggs. It was awesome.
If you play the ring hook game, you know, that's courtesy of myself. I got paid in Coronas. Pretty rad.
That was great. And try the Johnny avocado.
Yeah, I heard that was a smash. You had it, I think, the first time, and then it was like by Sunday when we were getting ready to leave, everybody was ordering the Johnny avocado toast.
Yeah,
that is great, man. Two strips of bacon on just a magical little layer of Wendy, right? Was that her name? Wendy?
I believe.
Come on, help me out. Who's
man,
restaurant?
I'm horrible with names, man.
Okay. Those beautiful women at the restaurant that really just
perfect
us so well. They just served us so well, and man, they just put that out on the menu for the first time, and it's just a nice layer of guacamole, the right amount of pepper and salt with some tomato mixed in there, some red onion, and then they put over just two nice strips of bacon with an egg right on top of that bad boy. I wrapped it up and took it out on the kayak with me the second time around.
Nice. Sean Brannon is her name.
Sean, thank you.
That was Richard saved our butts.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to jump in there.
Hey, at least we didn't forget Wendy this time. We didn't forget Wendy, so we're good.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Sean.
And again,
she was
Sean
in charge.
Sean might burn her food next time.
Yeah.
Intentionally. Well, let's John, let's talk about your podcast, man, because we touched on it a little bit, but for those that may not know, like what was the driving force? Why'd you start your podcast, and kind of talk about what you talk about on there, man?
The podcast goes back to a wonderful evening that myself and Baby Doll had down in Nashville, Tennessee. And we were in this chic hotel down there. Nice. And we were just kicked back in bed, and I was starting to get into searching for sponsors. Okay. I was thinking about, I'm in bed in Nashville, Tennessee with a beautiful woman. And I'm thinking about bass fishing. So it was when I first got the bug of kayak bass fishing so bad. It hit me. And you know how it is, man. You first signed up for KBF and you join, and 5 years ago it was a little bit different than it is even now. I mean, it's just, this sport is changing so fast, but the grassroots feel of it back then I was so attracted to, especially with the Southwestern Ohio fishermen, and Kurt Schmidt's coming off his 2017 kayak bass fishing national championship, and we had the Cincinnati kayak fishing crew, Strictly Sail, and their support here. So it was a really cool grassroots thing, and I come from like a mountain bike ultra marathon running background, and my body was just saying, "Bufangula, man, you can't do this stuff anymore. You got to find something different." So I had co-angled on the back of a boat, a nice Skeeter bass boat, beautiful $50,000-$60,000 bass boat, Lane Bull construction. Did that a number of tournaments and absolutely got the bug for fishing.
Nice.
Then I started looking at the cost of bass boats, because I am that type of guy who's very individual. I want to be out there by myself doing my own thing. I feel comfortable being by myself. And so I started looking at the price of bass boats, and then that was 2 weeks of just like, what in the hell?
You're like, what can I sell?
Yeah.
The horses. I'm starting to look at horses and baby dolls going, you ain't selling. And I'm like, oh my God, how do we get this? Because now, well, maybe you just get one that's maybe $10,000. And I'm going, oh man.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'd been out on these nice Skeeter bass boats, and this guy changed Skeeter bass boats every 6 months and just got better and better and better. So I was going, man, I don't know. And so I just kind of pissed and moaned about it for a couple weeks. Well, she finally said, why don't you just Google bicycle powered kayak and shut the you-know-what up? And I thought, you're really funny. And right there, I just Googled bicycle powered kayak. And it literally just changed my life. I saw the Wilderness System 135 for the first time. I'm like, whoa, they actually make bicycle powered kayak. So that got me into research of KBF and signing up. So boom, fast forward, we're in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm going on to that national pro staff type of a website. And I just, you pay your admission, $25, you sign up for some pro staff team, and they like you or not, usually based on your social media stuff. And I've always been, with my music, somewhat of a social media, even though I'm 50, so I'll be 58 years old this year, but social media is not, it doesn't scare me too bad. I'm pretty comfortable with it.
Too bad.
He's like, I could figure it out.
What do you think? So I'm pretty comfortable with it. So I landed the American Tackle Pro Staff, card, and I felt great. Got a great deal on some American Tackle stuff that introduced me to sort of the, to be honest with you, I think if there were honky tonk angels in the form of anglers that looked out over all of us and led us down a path where things just became sort of like that Forrest Gump moment.
Sure.
It would be definitely them leading me into meeting the folks at American Tackle down in Florida and Austin Todd. So we built up a great relationship. They saw what I was doing on social media. And within a year, they were inviting me down to ICAST, which is, to me, I thought, wow, this is like the golden ticket to the center of the universe when it comes to fishing.
Sure.
And, I went down there, saw that, and that blew my mind. But it also opened up my mind how little there are in folks like us, or even there were at that time. There were very few social media people that were walking around doing live Facebook stuff at ICAST and doing episodes of on podcast. So I thought there, bam, back in Nashville, Tennessee, in that bed hanging out with baby doll, just chilling in some chic hotel, I thought, I'm going to start a podcast.
And then it was born.
Yeah. I first started on, there was I can't even think of it now. It's kind of like, I think they don't even longer have a support for their podcast. But then I switched over to Anchor, and I've been with Anchor for 3 years now, and like 83 or 84 episodes, which kind of blew my mind when I counted them up the other day. I don't really pay attention too much to analytics, but maybe I should. But I just have a good time, and my content is me most of the time just trying to figure out what kayak bass fishing is for me and how to get through it, and the mistakes I made, and some stories along the way. And again, if some of your listeners are familiar with Garrison Keeler and News of Lake Wobegon, it may be a little bit more like that. The Prairie Home Companion. You never know what you're going to get. You get a lot of great, fantastic background sounds with the live animals, which come pretty timely. And I'll go up to the pond. I have a pond right here in front of the barn that's probably the best bass fishing in southwestern Ohio, and I can go up there and catch them on Sour Patch Kids. So it's a lot of fun to go up there and do a podcast up there, because the geese and the birds and the wildlife kind of play a part in there. So it's a lot more mellow. I think I don't do a lot of interviews. I feel comfortable doing interviews with people coming over here and us sitting down and chatting, and that's a lot of fun. Kurt's been here a couple times, and we've had a couple other guests.
Yeah, man. It's I think the last episode I caught of yours was I think it was for Kurt Smith's birthday.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing, right? Like, I listen to that, and it's just you having fun, and you're super genuine, and nothing's forced. And definitely, like, throughout your episodes, you're kind of, like you said, trying to figure out what kayak bass fishing is for you, and kind of talking yourself through situations. I wanted to listen to it today, but I drove the wrong vehicle, so I didn't have like my earbuds, and I couldn't listen to it. But it was you were talking about pegged weights or something for your worm or something. That's all I read was the title, and I was like, oh, I got to listen to this, because I know that's one of the things he's been smashing some fish on, man, which is cool.
Yeah, that was a simple Texas rig, probably the best thing my dad ever taught me.
Yeah,
how to I've been taught tossing a Texas rig since I was a kid. So that's what I started out with fishing. That's all I started with. The kayak bass fishing was just throwing a Texas rig. So it's no secret to everybody down there. That's what I was tossing into everything, was the Texas rig down there. And that's just a dynamic lure all around. And Dale Hollow's got that rocky bottom. You put a tungsten on the front of that, man, it's like Morse code.
Yeah.
You know what's going on. I love it. Gives me cold chills thinking about it. I love it. And when you finally figure that out, which is part of what John Graves Kayak Fishing is that I think there was an episode when I figured out there's a difference between lead and tungsten.
Yeah,
there difference.
There is definitely, for sure.
I didn't know that.
It's interesting, like, how much folks kind of like look over the difference of that and the different effects it can have.
It's like one of those improvements for coming from an old bicycle racing kind of thing. You can't comprehend spending $349 for a bicycle seat until you sit on it and you use it, and then you're like, oh man, there's a big difference in that seat.
It's funny.
Nice.
You say that like it's going to be comfortable, and that's not the case at all. It's just more ergonomic, and your Chotis is used to sitting on that thing. So, and I can tell you, because when I was racing mountain bikes, I was, you couldn't even feel it. Now I get on a bike, I'm like, oh my God, how did I ever get used to this?
It took miles, didn't it? It took miles.
Dude, yeah. Before you're just like, I'm that in the gel pants, tell me you ain't rocking gel pants. Don't lie to me.
Oh yeah. I haven't been on a bike in so long, and as many miles as I've ridden in my life. I spent 11 years as a bicycle messenger downtown Cincinnati. One of the most fabulous times of my life. Got to know everybody. I mean, it's the guy that lived underneath the bridge on 3rd Street to the president of Procter and Gamble. And I mean, it was just really neat. It was a neat way to learn how to sneak in the back door.
And
I
let's
still
face
use
it,
that today.
we're all looking for that.
That's how I got in the Hodgepodge Lodge down there.
Yeah. Snuck right in the back door.
That was fun. Give a big shout out to John. You know,
Yeah, man.
Wow, what a great time that was.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, speaking of we talked the one night we were down there, man, and you rode your bicycle from, what was it, Ohio to Florida one time?
I did. Yes.
God.
He's like, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a little thing.
Wasn't the wisest thing, but I spent a lot of time racing and doing a lot of, I never was really fast, but I could go all day.
Endurance. Yeah.
Long.
Yeah.
I had great endurance and even better recovery. So that was kind of my talent in the ultra marathon running. Then I got into cycling, and I'm that personality that's odd enough to be able to just kind of vanish off into God's country for a month or so and come back with a big beard and maybe a Jeremiah Johnson, bear outfit for a coat or something. I'm really comfortable living outdoors by myself, being out there by myself. So a long story short, I had met a gentleman by the name of Frank Osgood Butler, who is a big name in Chicago. Butler golf course up there, Oak Brook Hills, or Oak Brook, Chicago area was developed by the Butler family and stuff like that. But anyway, I met Frank down in Palm Springs, Florida, and Palm Beach, Florida. And I had met him down there repossessing a car. Okay.
Not your car though, right?
No.
Yeah.
So I got the car, repossessed the car. I got back. This guy had given me a ride down to Hollywood, Florida, a little bit closer to Boca Raton, where I was going to pick this car up. Anyway, I got back to Cincinnati, Ohio, and he was having a big birthday party that he invited me to down in Florida. I'm thinking, this guy lives on 14 Gulfview Drive. I mean, Donald Trump lives right down the street. And, he's inviting me to his birthday party. I need to go to this birthday party. Right? Well, the Camaro that I had at the time, I didn't even trust to get past Lexington, to be honest with you. But I really wanted to go to this birthday party. Well, in the back of my mind, I had a multi-day, multi-evening trip conjured up. I always thought that I would want to take one. Now, I had taken 3-day bicycle event type races before, but nothing solo and nothing as long as 11 to 15 days that it would take me to get down there. And this is before GPS, and this is before phones, and this is before, it's lights out.
Yeah.
and Jellicoe Mountains, brother. So,
is this like in the 80s?
This wasn't, yeah. This is 1989.
See?
Okay.
All right. So I had taken, we had ran McNally's.
Yeah, for sure.
Trip away and get a triptych of route all the way down 25 along 75.
Yeah.
So basically, that's the route I took. I was solo, had everything there. I didn't quite learn about the Jellicoe Mountains in school, and they were the first to enlighten me of a high altitude climbing, because we don't do a lot of that here in southwestern Ohio. Mm-hmm. And then the Great Smoky Mountains, and then just a punch in the gut with the Cherokee Mountains. So now you're at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, and I'm rolling good at this time. I get down to Atlanta, Georgia, stayed with a friend of mine down there for a couple days just to rehab, and took off again. But this time I cut over a little bit more to the coast. I wanted to ride the coastline down to Florida because I knew that Florida was going to be a multi-day event just in itself. That's a long state, man.
Yeah. It is.
Oh yeah.
And so as I was working south through the state of Georgia, passing Atlanta, it was much easier for me to travel at night rather than during the day. The daytime temperatures were getting up about 110 degrees.
Ooh.
Oh,
And I was trying to put in about 150 to 170 miles a day. So it was better for me to start out about 8 o'clock at night and just travel throughout the whole night. The traffic was down. It was just me and the stars, and it was just awesome. The weather was really working with me in my favor. So I traveled through southern Georgia, and about this time, the whole trip really started to get a little bit fuzzy for me as far as the details go, because looking back now, I was suffering sort of a little kind of like dehydration, a lot of weird muscle spasm and tics and stuff. Honestly, if I had a support crew, they probably would have jerked me off of the road. But I had my light rigged up as a 6-volt lantern, and you know how those beams go, they just shoot straight out in the night, and they're just really not broad at all. And again, this is the late 80s. So I had a 6-volt battering down in my bottle cage with the water coming up from the drop tube into my 6-volt lantern, and that was tied to the front of my Aero Pro bars. I'm going down like this, man. I got some headphones in, and I was listening on cassette on my Walkman. I just bought some new batteries back in Atlanta. And I'm listening to my Walkman, and I'm listening to the song Candy-O by the Cars.
Nice.
It's like 2 o'clock at night. It's quiet for miles. If you took the headphones off, it's just quiet.
Dead silence.
Spooky quiet. That's why I had the headphones on. So I'm cruising through this 2-lane road heading south, and I really can't even tell you where I was at this point in time on what road, but there were pine trees to the right, pine trees to the left for miles, and these were 30-foot pines. You know, telephone poles basically that they're harvesting down through there.
Right.
And bam, something hit my right calf. Felt like a cigarette lighter or something, or branding iron just hit me right in the back of the calf.
Jaguar.
I didn't know what it was. My reflexes jerked me up off the bike. My foot came out of, I had some clips
Yeah.
on, you know, pulled me up out of there. I wrecked, did an endo in the ditch. Nice. And the light was out. Headphones come off. You can still hear the cars going on. Candy-O, I need you. And I reach down and I feel this just, man, burning on my calf, and I couldn't see what it was. I grabbed a little light that I had out of my pack, and I put it back there, and my back of my calf was just split wide open.
Oh, wow.
And it was burning pretty bad. And I started to freak out a little bit.
Rightfully so.
I thought at first it was a snake. All I could think of was a damn snake. So I wanted to get up out of the ditch, got up out of the ditch. I got up on the road, and then I just felt this, like, you know what? You need to get the hell out of Dodge right now.
Right.
And so I got back up on the bike, no lights. I took off. There was enough moonlight. I could see the road, and I rode for probably about 5 or 6 miles. And then I wrecked again in the ditch. Started to get a little heavy, like a little lightheaded.
How's your rim at this point?
What's that?
How's your rims at this point?
The rims?
Yeah, and you're if you're doing endos and crashing into stuff.
Man, I had these old Ambrosias, these the early Aero rims, and they were not the lightest thing, but I also had them with some Continental tires. And man, things were almost bulletproof, man. You know, they were just amazing rims. I don't even know if they make them anymore, but I do another wipeout. And this time I knew something was going down. Like I was losing some blood and I had no idea where I was. I was in the middle of nowhere. And boys, at that time, it was really in all of my life, I thought might be it. Whatever the hell just happened to me, I'm going to bleed out right here. So I grabbed my little first aid kit. Here, I will suggest this right now, since we are somewhat of a kayak bass fishing kind of thing. You know, first aid kits are important.
Oh yeah.
You know, very important. And having one on your kayak's important, man. Just, you know, I can't stress that enough. But having the kayak or the first aid kit available when you need it and not buried.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had my first aid kit buried down to underneath all my stuff. So I bled all over everything, pulling it out. Finally had a tourniquet, put a tourniquet on, which was a sock. Big white tube sock. And I pulled this and put a tourniquet on to try to stop the bleeding a little bit, wrapped it up with some gauze as much as I could. I climbed up in the 400 meters up in those pines, dragged my bike up there. I pulled a bivy sack out with my sleeping bag, and I really spoke to Jesus, probably for the first time in my life, like really hard. And I said, Jesus, please, if I go down tonight, let me do it in my sleep. Let it be here where a place that folks can find me. Don't let it be out there on the road or someone then find me, put them in the back of a trunk and drag me into some barn down in Georgia someplace and make a freaking lampshade out of my ass. I mean, we had some serious talks and he was listening, you know. And so, boom, I was compelled to eat everything I had. And so I ate all this food, boom, 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 drank as much. I had all my Gatorade. A very nice person stopped earlier before and gave me 2 big bottles of Gatorade, sucked that down. I fell asleep, woke up to a logging truck a couple hours later, made it to a hospital, long story short. Doctor putting stitches in my leg said, son, you've been shot.
No.
And I would suggest that. I was like, hello. He said, did you hear it? And I said, no, I had my headphones on, but boy, I felt it. He said, where was you at? And I described him the same story basically as I told you guys. And he said, man, there's some bad folks out here. And he said, they will straight up shoot anybody and at anybody, especially if they think you're law enforcement. And I started thinking about that 6-volt lantern and that searchlight beam I had going out in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking somebody just probably shot at me, maybe thinking it was a car driving down there at night and just hit me in the back of the leg. So the doctor suggested that I get on the nearest Greyhound and ride back to Cincinnati because I had another 180 miles of that kind of stuff to ride through. And I went out to the Huddle House. And I sat down, had a big ass breakfast at the Huddle House. And I thought there ain't going to be no Yahoo in the state of Georgia that's going to keep me from riding my bicycle to this birthday party.
What caliber did you get stung with?
Yeah, small caliber. You know, thank God. You
like
know,
a 22 or
like
something?
22.
That's crazy, man.
Man, that's nuts.
Yeah. It was like, welcome. So, I made it to Florida, made it to Gainesville, and unfortunately, I didn't make it down the rest of the way. I just couldn't do it. Stitches were giving me a hard time. Things were getting a little infected. And so my friend from down there in Palm Beach drove up 6 hours or so, picked me up, put my bicycle in the back of a 1986 Silver Cloud Rolls Royce.
Oh.
It was great. Can't make that up, man. Me bleeding all, man, riding. It was a great time. But anyway, that was my bicycle trip down. I made it to Gainesville.
That's crazy, man.
Officially say, but I don't think I'd do it again.
I just never thought that would be the reason.
Yeah.
I thought he just had like a blowout on his calf or something, where you
right.
just expands so much it just splits the skin. Know?
there was an issue when I got injured. The problem was there was so much blood, and the muscles were expanded so much in my legs after 8 days or so of riding and a lot of mountains, man, that it kept splitting more and more, the wound. And it was by the time I got to Gainesville, home of, Southern rock and roll, I was like, I can't do it.
Oh man,
that's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. Damn, Johnny, just when I think you can't get any more interesting for you, I just hear another crazy story.
Oh, we should talk about the Indians and getting chased across the United States by Indians.
Oh no!
See,
now we got to talk about it.
Yeah, you'll lead us into something like that. It's pretty vague. I'm like, all right, I'll bite.
That turns into traveling with cowboys around the country in a Dodge van.
They had windows though, right?
Me and my dad, when I was 10 years old, me and my dad drove out to Ventura, California, and we were going to the National Rabbit Breeders Association convention. There actually is such a thing.
Of course.
And we were driving out to Ventura, California, and I asked my dad in the middle of Kansas, because I had never been outside of Indiana before. And I said, Dad, do you think that anybody would be able to run across the United States? And, my nickname was Benny the Meatball, so I was like 20 pounds heavier than all my buddies. And he's like looking at me like he couldn't even believe his, little chubby son was even asking that question at 10 years old. My dad didn't answer me for a while, but then he looked at me and said, I guess somebody could if they wanted to, bad enough. And that stuck with me my whole life. So becoming into ultra marathon running, naturally, that was always a goal of mine. And in 1996, I got together with Dennis Banks, the founder of the American Indian Movement, and his group, the Sacred Run. And we started in Huntington Beach, California, and ran basically 30 miles a day. We'd run 4 days, 30 miles a day, be off on that 5th day and start all over again, 120 miles straight, and then stop again. But by the time we got to a place called Bovine, Texas, things were starting to heat up in this caravan politically, interestingly enough. And it was the first time that I had ever experienced any really Native American relationship with me as a white guy from Cincinnati, Ohio. And in the beginning, we had the running, which we all looked at as a spiritual running. And I think I reflect back on my life and think that's the only thing, if I could see my cross-country runner / career counselor right now, I'd look at him and go, dude, there ain't no money in cross country. You should shove me into golf or something like that.
It's just a journey.
Yeah.
I got a buckle and a couple of trophies, but my whole life committed to that sport. I look at it as a spiritual. That's my reward. Same thing I get out of the kayak bass fishing, how that's just transferred. And that's, I guess, if you really want to know who I am, that's what I really get out of kayak bass fishing. It has nothing to do with the competition. It has nothing to do with winning anything. I do like killing the raffles, though. But it has nothing to do with that other than the companionship and a spiritual journey that I'm taking through and just transferring from my running into the kayak bass fishing. But that's what we all, as runners on this Sacred Run, had in common. We were spiritual runners, but boy, the time we got to Texas, things were heating up, brother. Woo, man. That's kind of another story. And
that's crazy.
I'm like envisioning, like just hearing, while he's running. Yeah. You're just like, whoa, like what's going on here, man?
Well, I had made it from Huntington Beach, California. Of course, my goal was to make it all the way to Savannah, Georgia. But I had made it from Huntington Beach, California, 1,400 and something miles to Bovine, Texas, which is awful.
Oh man.
Oh my God. So Bovine, Texas, and God bless the kids that go to Bovine County High School. Jesus. But you know what? At Bovine County High School, every day they have steak and potatoes.
No.
Lunch every day. So it's 30 miles of nothing but bovine, hundreds of thousands of head of cattle being sprayed with just big things of water because it's 115 degrees outside. So it was really it was an appropriate place for me to, like in that Forrest Gump moment, to stop and just go, I ain't running anymore.
I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm done. Oh man, that's crazy. Wild.
That's cool, man. You've had some my little treks have not been to that length, but I've been on some pretty good ones too. But it's cool to be able to reflect on those, like those experiences, those challenges you put yourself through just because, it's like, well, I'm going to do this, and we're just going to go this far, and we're going to see maybe if I can take it a little further.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And it was shortly after that I found myself, but because even though I have to say, look, John, man, dude, 1,400 miles you ran, and that's an accomplishment. You have to think of it like that. But in the back of my mind, it's always been sort of like that thing that, damn it, I didn't complete. Mm-hmm. And so it was always there in the back of my mind, and still is to this day to a certain degree. So I'll get a little salty about it sometimes,
sure,
stuff like that. But it led to me crying in my beer in a place called Coyotes, a little honky tonk down the street in Kentucky. And I looked up, this was 1997, and I looked up on the widescreen there, and there was some cowboy in some freaking long, goofy looking black trench coat. And he was singing something about the lights on the freaking driveway. And I was like, what in the hell is that? I'm like, that ain't George Jones. That ain't Merle Haggard. And I'm looking at the kid next to me. I'm saying, man, what is that? Is this country music? Because I really don't pay attention to that stuff too much. I like my old honky tonk. You bring out Merle Travis, and you bring out old Ray Price, and you bring out Buck Owens and George Jones, Merle Haggard, throw in some Willie and Waylon, that kind of stuff, And I'm thinking, what in the hell's happening to Tennessee and Nashville? That is just god awful. So I got about 4 beers into it, maybe 7. And I decided that I was going to take this somewhat Millennium Falcon looking support van that I had from this Wild Buffalo Bill Indian show that I traveled with across the United States running with. And I thought that I'd use it. Let's go down Nashville, Tennessee. Never been there. So let's go down there and see what's in Nashville, Tennessee. So that weekend, I had a couple $100 in my pocket, and a buddy loaned me a guitar, and I never played guitar, but I've been in music. I sang and I played drums, but I never played guitar. And before I went down there that weekend, that Thursday, he showed me a couple chords, G and D.
Okay.
But if you know G and D, you kind of know, like,
every song.
A few.
Yeah.
You just got to remember the words, right? So how hard can it be? G, D, G. I just play with a little bit. So I traveled down to Nashville, Tennessee that weekend in my van. And at that time in 1997, Nashville was on the verge of crashing. The Grand Ole Opry had moved out of town. Everybody moved out of town. Lower Broadway was just falling in despair. There were storefronts that were empty. Ernest Tubbs Record Shop was there. Tootsie's was there. Roberts was there. Legends Corner was there, but that was it. Bluegrass Inn was there, but that was it. perfect for me to go into town, right? So I run into town and I'm checking it out, and I see this guy in the corner. He's got his guitar up and he's playing some stuff, but this dude's like 3 sheets in the wind. But he's got some coinage in his case. I'm going, I can do that. So I went back up to the van and I played G, D a little bit, tried to get E and A down a little bit, break it up some, change the mood, this mood changer there. And carried my guitar case back to Lower Broadway, picked me a little spot down there by Ernest Tubbs record shop, set out the guitar case, and just started playing, smiling. Howdy. Welcome to Lower Broadway, everybody. Welcome to Nashville, Tennessee. How you doing? That's all I did, played G and D. People were kind of relating to it, but nobody was giving me any money. And I thought, dude, I suck. That guy over there drinking is a lot better than I am, and he's crushing. I don't. And this was like an hour or 2 hours into it. I look up and there's this little Japanese boy sitting there. He's got $1 in his hand, and I'm like, it just kind of blew me away. One, there's a little Japanese kid in front of me and he's got $1 in his hand. I'm thinking, wow. He puts the $1 in my case and he walks over, and there's this cute little Japanese mom over there, and they kind of bow a little bit. I'm got to get up and bow a little bit and look back at him. I'm kind of blown away, man. There's $1 in my freaking case. And I started playing. Gee, man, I was playing it all as much as I could, man. I'm just saying hi to everybody, and like magic. And there's a reason why, but like magic, people just started throwing money in my case. It was blowing me away. So people are like cows. Somebody just kind of does one thing and everybody just kind of does the same thing, So an old blues man later on in my troubadourial adventures on street corners playing guitar, as I went on with that career, an old blues man said, man, you got to prime the pump. You got to put your $1 in the pump.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was. And I still got that $1 today, as a matter of fact. But
well, that's cool.
That's awesome.
I got a job as a road manager for a group called the Derailers out of Austin, Texas, which is kind of funny because I was sleeping in the van, and the best place to sleep was on Music Row because it was quiet. Birds sing 24 hours a day on Music Row, 16th, 17th Street down there in Nashville. And that's where all the deals go down. And if a police officer cruises by and they see some poor desperate bastard in a van with a cowboy hat and a guitar case, they just think, oh man, this guy's down here recording or something, chasing one of his dreams, man, let him go. And they leave you. They really kind of watch out for you really good. And there's a low crime area right through there, So it was a nice place. I rolled out of the van one morning, man, stretching. Oh my God, And I look up on the porch and there's this dude sitting there and he's like picking his paper up off the porch and he's in his robe. It was early in the morning. And we start talking. He asked what I was doing down there. And I told him I was just kind of checking out the music business. And he says, you live in that van? I said, I do. He said, man, come upstairs. I got something to show you. I was like, all right.
That's one of those forks in the road that we all come to sometimes. It's like, well, I am kind of down and out.
Let's see what this couch looks like.
Yeah, we can call it that.
So we go up in this skank little apartment this guy had, and he had stacks of CDs, and he had a couple gold records up on his wall and stuff like that. But he says, do you like country music? And I said, hell yeah, I like country music. I like both kinds, country western. I love it, but give it to me. He says, you like old stuff? I said, yeah. He says, I got this band out of Austin, Texas that I've just picked up, and they're getting ready to tour. I said, okay. He says, I'm looking for a road manager. I said, okay. He put this music on, and it was from the Jackpot album from the Derailers. And I encourage everybody, all your listeners, to check out the Derailers out of Austin, Texas, especially some of their older stuff like Jackpot and Reverb Deluxe. It's monumental. I got the job for this group. Long story short, because this is a whole other podcast too. They signed to Sire Records by Seymour Stein, the same guy that signed Madonna, the Pretenders, U2. This guy fell in love with the Derailers, and I'm telling you right now that if all things would have panned out, the Derailers were destined to change the course of country music, because it was really cookie cutter back then. You know, it was just a lot of big hats.
Yeah.
And just big, heavy voices. And there was no,
Yeah.
The Mavericks were cutting edge. Dwight Yoakam was cutting edge, but the Derailers were right there on it. And their release date was on 9/11.
Oh,
Sire Records. And unfortunately, 9/11 changed a lot of things. And we started playing out of Nashville, Tennessee, a lot of American themed patriotic songs, and the Derailers were just kind of, in a sense, kind of forgot about in a way after that. But they're still down in Nashville, Tennessee, or in Austin, Texas. They're playing. The group is a little bit different now, but I spent 48,000 miles on the road with those guys. 11 days into that tour, I was on stage with Buck Owens, Dwight Yoakam, Marty Stewart, Jim Lauderdale, and the whole He-All gang at Buck's 63rd birthday party in Bakersfield, California. I was blown away.
That's crazy. Man, Johnny,
I know.
you've lived a crazy, crazy life, man.
And now I'm hanging with you cats, man.
Dude, I could sit here and listen to you tell stories like for days, for days. And that's the thing, man. That just like I started this, you know, you're just a phenomenal storyteller, dude. And it's cool to hear about all these things, man. It's those things that should never be forgotten or lost. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome.
And we all have great stories. You know, we may not have that ability to tell them, but I think what I really like to hone in on, and I think it's been working so far, is that inviting people here at the ranch to sit in the tack room. And because this place has the ability to just relax and have people just sort of tell a good story out of this room. And I don't know if it's the vibe. I don't know what it is. The podcast is a little bit more kickback and more like that. What's that TV series or whatever it is, The Green Fern, you know, where you just kind of are placed next to this.
Between the ferns?
Yeah, between the ferns.
With Zach Galifianakis?
Yeah. You just never know what you're going to be asked, you know. But, you know, everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a cool story. Man, we got some great fishing stories to tell. We all have good ones to tell, and maybe that's what I really like to get out of all of this with everybody, is not necessarily talk about the techniques and what's happening and who's on top of what, but to tell stories, you know, and get back to that. And if there's anybody from Bassmasters listening out there, I'm gonna throw my hat in. I think having someone on stage that's very familiar with kayak bass fishing, the rules and regulations, and more importantly, the people within it, would be a great representative between Bassmasters and this. Bassmasters, whether we like it or not, has introduced this to hundreds of thousands of people. You know, we try our best to get out to a few thousand, 10,000 here, 20,000 there. But man, once that hit that and legitimized it by getting cover of Bassmaster magazine, this sport is just going to go nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's going to go nuts. And it's because who does have $55,000 to put on a skeeter boat? You know, not a lot of people, unless you own a big construction company or, you know, that kind of thing. You know, and that's usually the cats that get into that's big money. But this really, this enables people to, you know, Joe Schmoes like me and you, and just average schleps be able to get into a kayak and compete not only on a local level, but drive down to Dale Hollow next week and you're going to compete against AJ.
Yeah.
You know, AJ's world class. AJ's class, man. I mean, AJ's connection to the Great Hobie Bass Open Series. It's going to be a pleasure to get out there and fish with him. And then just everybody else that's going to show up at this thing. You just never know who it's going to be, man. We've got some world-class anglers. You don't get that opportunity in such an immediate way with the FLW and the Elite Series, man. You got to grind that stuff out. But here with kayak bass fishing, lay the money down, Jack.
Yeah.
You know, this is like Dodge City. Bring it on, man. If you want to compete, bring your horse into town, lay $250 down on the table, and let's get it on. I like that.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Well, right on, brother. Well, we've been chatting for an hour, man. So I'll give you the floor. Tell people where they can follow you, all that good stuff, man, and then we'll close this thing down, man.
John Marion Graves on Facebook. So everybody just does Facebook. Look for me on John Marion Graves. If you go to John, just Google search John Graves Kayak Fishing, and that will lead you to a multitude of different things that's probably easier for you to connect. I'm a lot of different podcast platforms. It's all John Graves Kayak Fishing. And please, join up. The more the merrier. I really appreciate you guys invite me on board because I know you have a massive listening audience and are a lot of fun to listen to. And man, you guys are doing the right thing. So kudos to you too. Big shout out to American Tackle down there in Florida. And big shout out to Hang Outdoors, Kevin Frazier and his beautiful wife out there in Western Kentucky. Kevin Frazier, Hang Outdoors, check him out on Facebook. And then big shout out to baby doll Lisa Spear. The dream home comes in many, many sizes. Call her up at 513-317-6004. If you're looking for a home here in southwestern Ohio, you know, don't get her driving all the way up to Dayton.
I heard about the kind we got up there in Dayton.
Yeah, like Brad Hicks, Josh Eldridge.
I mean, if you like those kind of folk.
Yeah.
Putting too many miles on the car. Hey, thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it, man.
No, thanks, John, for taking the time tonight, man. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you here in a few days, man. It's always a blast to hang out and shoot the breeze and all that good stuff, man.
So you guys going to talk about the details and all that stuff, and when and where, and because I'm still not familiar with everything that's happening.
Yeah, so April 9th, 10th, and 11th is the dates for the events. So 9th and 10th is the open. Captain's meeting is the night before, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. at the barn at Eastport Marina. We've had a few guys and gals ask about identifiers. You will get your identifier at the captain's meeting. If you can't make the captain's meeting, or you're coming down Friday morning, we will have some folks staged up around the lake to get your identifiers, get your boards checked and all that good stuff. We will announce that in the captain's meeting Thursday night. We will put it on the Facebook page here. We'll have awards on Saturday and the captain's meeting for the Clash of Clubs Saturday as well, and then Clash of Clubs on Sunday. So you guys have a chance if you get signed up now till tomorrow at midnight for your chance to get your entry fees reimbursed. If not, it's $100 for the 2-day open, $75 an angler for the Clash of Clubs. We got 3 kayaks being given away that weekend, plus a whole slew of prizes. So yeah, get signed up. All the info is on TourneyX. If you go to TourneyX, the tourney site, scroll down until you see Paddle and Fin, click on it, bam, it's right there. If you guys have any questions about the tournaments, feel free to reach out to us either on our Facebook page or you can email us at pnftrail@gmail.com. Get your lodging set up at Eastport Marina. They got food packages, all that good stuff. You can get the Johnny avocado toast for your breakfast. But we look forward to seeing everybody down there. So our next show will actually be the captain's meeting next week. So we look forward to seeing you guys. And, you know, we're going to be live streaming these events. We'll have some folks out on the water chasing these guys around as they're catching fish. So it should be a good time.
It's going to be great. That is a unique thing right there, man. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's a freaking bargain for $100.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Travel down there and I'm excited to see the barn and the venue and all that kind of stuff. But to have that live thing going on is cool. So
heck yeah, man.
If you're going to get your ass kicked, you might as well let the whole world watch.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Jay, anything else?
Get signed up, everyone. That's all I got.
Jay, always failing to come through.
Just ask my wife. What?
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Those listening on the podcast, thank you very much. We'll drop a link to John's podcast in the show notes if you're listening on the podcast. If you're watching here on Facebook, we already dropped a link to his podcast in the comments down below. So, John, hang tight. For all you guys and gals out there, we'll see you next time. Tight lines, smooth paddle. Peace. Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode on Paddle and Fin. Don't forget to go check out our website at paddle_and_fin.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel at Paddle and Fin. If you got a question, comment, want to hear from a future guest on a future episode, feel free to email us at paddle_and_fin@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Paddle and Fin on Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to our show supporters, Angler. The Angler button and app just makes for a better time on the water and creates a virtual logbook for every fishing outing out on the water. Shout out to Rocktown Adventures, located in Northern Illinois, for all your kayaking, camping, and hiking needs. Shout out to Jig Masters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com.